So what I would like to do is I had asked you to look at the issues of myth and what myth is. And one of the, and in order to, both myth and archetypes have to be looked at equally in order to, well, myths are made up of archetypes, let's put it that way. So you can either be playing in the small story myth of your life, of the ego mind small story, or you can step up into the big story, which requires you to not only be a mythic juggler with the small story, but it begins to ask you to really pay attention to what your gifts and talents are, what it is you've carried in this lifetime in order to work with in your magic bag. Myth asks you, if not you, who? And if not now, when? Basically. If not you, who? And if not now, when? That is living a mythic life. That is, if you can answer that question, that is stepping into a mythic life. Oh, here I found the Joseph Campbell thing exactly, instead of paraphrasing it. Myth can be looked at as a transitional, metaphorical construct leading to more and more expansive, unified spiritual truth. Far from being a falsehood, as myth is commonly culturally defined, it is a veiled explanation of the truth. He said it's a secret opening through which the inexhaustible energies of the universe pour into cultural manifestations. And my favorite, my personal favorite, is Jose Arguelles. It's just so quintessentialized, it's just brilliant. He has, it's very abstract, but incredibly clear. His definition is this: myth equals DNA times light. Now just grok that for a minute. Just let that settle in with yourselves. Myth equals DNA times light. In short, myths provide a blueprint, much as the DNA, of how to navigate spiritual reality, how to evolve into a more expanded, awake, and conscious being. And if you take myths at face value, you'll miss their intention, because what's embedded in myth is much deeper than that. It can't be understood by the rational mind. And most myths are, to be in Martin Shaw's words, are real emanations of the land itself. He defines myth as the stories that arise out of the earth herself. So there are points of view that say it's about what arises out of the collective unconscious. And then there's also Martin Shaw's idea that actual real myths arise from the earth herself. Both things are not mutually exclusive, but they're both ways of looking at where myth comes from. So basically, we want to start looking at, you can get out a piece of paper, because this is going to be an exercise for you to look at the archetypes that you resonate with, to begin to really take them apart. So, for example, I want you to notice and write down from a book or a mythic movie characters that you are most attracted to and those that you're most aversive to. Okay, so just write down, without thinking, a few characters from mythic movies or characters in books that you're massively attracted to, and three or more that you really are aversive to. Now, I want to say this to all of you, that what that's talking about is you, what you're attracted to in yourself. Whatever it was you saw there, I want you to look through the lens of that's a projection onto that archetype. That's your projection onto that archetype. For example, you want to be an observer witness instead of getting involved in a lawful blah, blah, blah. You know, you see what I mean? You want to be neutral. That's one of your intentions in life. Mm-hmm. And then on the aversive side, it's usually, and this is what's worth really looking into, Marx, the Cyclops and the Medusa archetype. What is it in you that would bring that as an aversive figure? Those figures. Really look at that and give you a moment to really feel into that, rather than, I don't want you to feel pushed with an answer, but it's worthy of looking at. All of you look at the characters you were aversive at and what it is about that is representative of some part of your own shadow. What is it? If you want to live more mythically, you really want to understand what you're projecting out into the world, understand both the positive projections and those that you could look at as being negative, but dark. It's an important inquiry. Now, in order to be the hero or heroine of your own movie, which, you know, the primary question is most people have not asked is, am I the director of my own movie? Am I the scripting agent? Is this the character I really want to be playing? Because really, in truth, we're just very lively holographic representations in the mind of God, Goddess. So we're in a movie. It's our movie. We're making it. We're creating it with our co-creating it with the universe. But primarily, we're responsible for what the outpicturing of our life journey really is. So it's very important to start asking these questions. And one of the first ones I would be asking, if you want to write the answer down to this, are, what are my primary gifts in this lifetime? What did I come in carrying? What was in your magic pouch? There's some things you did absolutely joyfully as a child. You did them with nobody teaching you how to do it, no one encouraging you to do it. You just did it because you loved it. You got up in the morning and you, by God, climbed the tree because that's what you love doing. So right now, I want you to just say, what are the primary gifts that I carried in this lifetime? What did I do absolutely joyfully as a child? And we'll look at that for a minute. If you're still ruminating that one, has anyone gotten anything they want to share, just so that we have an opportunity to hear at least one person's version of that?
I'll share just because I can, because it's so predictable. I developed my own language of cursive when I was when I first started learning how to write. I created a special letter for each letter. And I terrorized every single person I was on the plane with. I flew a lot by myself, starting when I was about 4. I terrorized everyone I sat next to and asked them to tell me stories the entire ride.
Well, if that wasn't prognosticative, I don't know what is. Yes, that's a gift you carried in this lifetime. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Okay, the next question to ask about stepping into your mythic life is, what are the powers that I carried into this lifetime? What powers did I carry in to this lifetime? What do you do that is uniquely you, that is a power that you have that's uniquely you? So thank you. And
Thank you.
these can all, be more investigated, and should be, if you want to look at the various aspects of what it is to step fully into your myth. What tools did I bring in to work with in this lifetime? What tools did I bring in to work with this lifetime? Thank you.
Mhm.
And finally, what life challenges did I script in my soul script to learn as a soul? What were the primary, or even a single in some lifetimes, like being a paraplegic, for example, is a huge challenge. But if there is something that immediately pops to mind, this was my major life's challenge in my mythic scripting this lifetime. And then finally, I wanted to ask you, in the small shadow story archetypes that we're mostly unconscious about that are playing out with us, I want you to look at what people consistently, without any kind of defensiveness, what do people consistently accuse me of, or point out to me, or apparently criticize in my personality? This is a tough one. In other words, are you playing out the Eeyore complainer archetype? Do people accuse you of being a complainer, or the jealous lover, or the rebel, the seductress, the always nurturing mother, the dutiful wife? What is the shadow figure that people accuse you of, or point out to you, or criticize you about, the small story archetype? Thank you. Okay, so these are all worthy of looking at, both the shadow and the ego personality. These are the ways that we hold our mythic expression down. That if we're consistently hanging out in those areas, then we're holding the possibility of our mythic expression hostage. So what I'd like you to do is take a piece of paper, and on one side of it, I want you to write the word denying. And on the bottom part of the page, there's going to be 4 parts on the page: denying on one side, resisting or avoiding on one of the four quadrants. On the third one, compromising. And the fourth one, controlling. Now, under those, I want you to write, what am I, for example, denying? Just ask yourself, put 2 things you're denying, 2 things you're compromising, 2 things you're resisting, avoiding, 2 things you're trying to control. But without thought, just write it as quickly as you can. In other words, don't get all mental about it. Just write it down. You basically finished? Doesn't have to be, okay. I'll give you one more sec here then. Okay, now you're going to take more time on all of these on your own when you do your own meditation, contemplation with this. But what I want you to look at here is look at these now through the lens of these all being primary power leaks to living a mythic life. Look at where your power is drained away. If you want to look at those areas and say to yourself, you know, this is a power leak. I presently have a lot of leaky energy because of this perception, the way I'm holding reality. And the whole thing in life is to cultivate your energy body so you have enough energy to start focusing on your gifts, talents, tools, and powers, right? Instead of letting all your energy leak off in these particular ways. And you could put any 4 words there that you want to put, but whatever you can get, however you can get what your power leaks are, that is a very, very important inquiry in consciousness, because to live a mythic life, you have got to have an abundance of energy. You just have to do it, because you're always constantly on your growth edge. You're always, really in your highly creative self. As a mythic being, you've got, a million things you want to do every morning when you get up. So you need energy for that. And thus you need to start looking at where you've got power leaks. For me, for example, anything social, and I feel like I've got to go to sleep, for 3 hours afterward. So I avoid any social situations because it drains my energy massively. And you just need to start really looking at what drains your energy. Particular people drain your energy. They don't mean to, they don't really mean to, but they're due to whatever you're co-creating in your energy bodies, in your electromagnetic fields. They are siphoning off your energy. If you want to go to sleep in someone's presence, you better really look at that, and whether their energy is not bad or good, whether it resonates with yours enough not to leak your energy. That's the thing. It's not like judging them. It's like, does this person uplift me? Do I feel more enlivened when I'm around them, or do I feel really drained? So this is a bigger inquiry, and you will be making it. But basically, myth requires your full presence in the present moment, and that is the only way that myth can reveal itself to you. There is this amazing crumb trail that is left in your life by myth, by the myth of your life, by your primary archetypal expression here. And if you don't have the energy and you don't have the possibility of remaining due to no energy in your full presence in every moment, then you don't have much working toward your stepping into your mythic expression. You have to be able to do that. So if you spend a lot of your time supporting your sense of identity of your ego's description, then there's no energy left for living a mythic life. If you have to make everybody like you, if you have to, be the star of the show all the time, whatever it is that leaks your energy, you don't have much energy left if you're not paying attention to that. So this is the part where I'd like to have people be able to see the hero's journey cycle. Can you put that up, Leah, for people to see the Joseph Campbell's version of the hero's journey? Yay! This is my little divine child version of this, but it gets the idea across. So what I would like to do here is to have us look at this hero's journey formatting, because this is the basic format of all myth and all story, for that matter. This is like the prototype model, and I would like us to have a look right here in the initiation of life as it is, that is, looking at the world that we live in right now. If the world we live in right now is the myth, we're here at the first step. What is the call to adventure? What is the call to adventure? So if we're looking at this as we're, living in the initiation of life, and here we are in this initiation, this hero's journey is beginning for us this moment. What is the call to adventure? What is it? For me, it's like, if we don't do whatever we can to support Gaia's well-being, we're finished here as a species. And so the call to adventure for me is, I got to get on it. Whatever it is, whatever I can write. I wrote a book called Gaia's New Dream Code. You know, whatever I can do with that, I'm going to be doing. That's my call to adventure right now. What's yours? How are you looking at your life as what is happening in the overview of what's happening in your life that is the call to adventure? Let's go to the second step. Well, actually, there's a half step in between the call to adventure and the development of an ally or guide. The in-between one is the refusal of the call. And a lot of people get stuck there and they say, oh no, this is way too big for me. I can't live a mythic life. This is way too much. I can't do it. And they refuse the call. And that lasts sometimes a month or a year or whatever. And then their soul keeps calling and calling and calling and says, oh, yes, you can heal the trees. Oh, yes, you can, whatever it is. But oftentimes there's a refusal of the call first before you finally just get your ass kicked and you get on with it. That's usually what happens. So let's look at the second step, the development of a guide or an ally at the edge of the forest is what it's called. So when you're looking at what ally is showing up for you, and this is a concrete example with Maureen, what allies are showing up for you to help you and to be your ally as you take this call to adventure? Really look at what your allies are, all of you right now, and you will need to go deeper with this to define your own call to adventure so you can do this with more thoroughness. But just so you know, I'm giving you a very slight pattern here so you can work with it on your own. Anyone know that an ally or guide has shown up for you to help you meet that call to adventure? All right, then the next step is the road of tests and trials. Now, how are you being tested in your life right now? I mean, I want you to really look at that. We are all, as a planet, on the road of tests and trials, my friends. And we've got coronavirus, we've got dudley-doo-doo, we've got a climate change, whatever you want to name. We've got some serious road of tests and trials that we're all on. If you want to look at what are the potholes on the road of tests and trials, what are you experiencing in your life that is your particular version of the road of tests and trials as the mythic hero on your quest? So on the road of tests and trials, we will have incredible potholes. And right now we've got them culturally, we've got them personally, we just got them. So the hero looks at those, and instead of it's being a bummer, you're willing to say, okay, I'm on the road of tests and trials right now. I need to remain strong. I need to really stay focused so that I don't fall off my path. So the next step is initiation or meeting with the goddess. Now, this is a little abstract for most people, but if you are facing some kind of initiation in your life, and it could be one of the things you've just named, and someone shows up that has insight for you that's surprising, it could be somebody at the airport, it doesn't have to be some big figure like Babaji or something, but that is the meeting with the goddess. When someone has like a breakthrough awareness for you, that brings you to a higher state of awareness and insight, that is the meeting with the goddess. It's more profound in some lives than others. Has anyone had something they would call a meeting with the goddess, an initiation that was literally a meeting with a higher power deity, something that made you know that you were being initiated? Did you have one, Leah, that you wanted to share?
I did. I had a I was in Richmond, Virginia, and everything, my life looked just like I thought it was supposed to look like, pretty much. and my heart wouldn't settle. And I remember I was at a gas station and I was pumping my gas, and I was really trying to like figure it out. Like I was literally trying to figure out the rest of my life. And
The
this
gas
truck,
station.
and I, without exaggeration, and this like guy like walked out of nowhere, approached me and said, "Honey, I don't know what you're trying to do, but you're not going to accomplish it doing it that way." And
Wow.
it was the biggest wake up of I was not going to think my way into this, that it was really a call to know there's another way, there's another place to listen from, there's another place
Wow.
to act from. It's not your head.
So awesome. That's incredible. And that's an ally that showed up at the gas station. Wow. Awesome. Thank you. So basically, to finish this piece, I want to look at the last couple of pieces here, which is the fifth and the sixth step are very intertwined. That is returning of the hero, master of two worlds, and which is basically looking at how will you maintain higher ground once you're integrated back into daily life from this journey. How will you maintain higher ground is step 5. And step 6 is the gift taken back into daily life. What are you called to do now that you've had this initiation, now that you've been through the road of tests and trials? What are you really called to bring back to life? So if you have an experience of returning master of the two worlds, if any of you have had that part of the journey, how do you maintain higher ground when you've had an initiatory experience? How do you maintain that higher frequency that having been through that initiation represents? That's a critical piece in the journey. Or you just want to join a monastery and forget about the rest of the world because it was so incredible you don't want to live like this 3D anymore. So you have to have skills in being able to maintain the frequency. What do you do? I mean, this may be a sine qua non because, most people use meditation and that sort of thing to maintain their frequency. So maybe we don't even need to go there unless you have a spectacularly unusual idea of how we can maintain our frequency. Then I'd love to hear it. And then let's move to the sixth step, the gift back to daily life. What is it that you're called to do when you came back from that experience in the wilderness that you were talking about, or when you had this meeting with the goddess and you had this transcendent initiation of some sort? What were you called to do when you came back into daily life, to offer the gift of that back into daily life? What was it? And just to really consider it inwardly. So as an overview of this, I encourage you to really look at these much more deeply on your own. As Mark was saying, it really does all integrate together if you're willing to look at all these pieces together and look at how all of this assists you in living a more mythic life. There are 2 other things I want to do before we quit tonight, and one of them is just to give you the Journeyer's Quatrain that was given to me in my early 20s when I really became aware of the fact that I was living a very mythic life, and I needed some kind of guidance about how to do that. And this came in a dream, and this is what it says: stay in present time, let it be all right, keep on walking, and watch for the lion on your left. Stay in present time, let it be all right, keep on walking, and watch for the lion on your left. I mean, obviously the first one's completely obvious. Stay in present time, let it be all right, generally, I mean, I can tell you what my impression is, but these will all be different for everybody, and I don't want to color your experience. But let it be all right is a lot to do with being non-preferential, neutral, not having to have everything be a certain way for things to be all right. That's part of it, but it might be different for you, so let it be whatever it is. The third one, keep on walking. You see, everyone will interpret these differently, and it's important that it's tailor-made to you. And the truth is, for you to write your own 4 quatrains, if that's your choice to do. And finally, watch for the lion on your left. What does that mean to anyone? What does that mean? Just really feel into that metaphor. You're on a mythic quest, and the final guidance is watch for the lion on your left. Yeah, and however you hold these, I just find myself repeating them a lot when I get in a tight situation and saying, okay, where's the lion on my left? You know, how am I stopping the keep on walking? These kinds of things, it just brings me back to a mythic perspective again. And the tools so that's that. And the tools of the quest that have arisen for me, especially now, are the orb of not knowing. We're all holding the orb of not knowing, and it is a tool to be able to hold this orb and not freak out over not knowing. So we have, all of us have the tool of the orb of not knowing in our hands, and we need it right now. We really need it right now. The second tool, and this is again for you to investigate, what are the tools of your quest? The second one for me is a heart tuner. And that is to say, whether you have a literal, that kind of thing as a metaphor, but basically we're having to learn to feel, navigate with our feelings. And if you don't have an open heart, you're going to have a very hard time navigating the trail we're on right now. The road of tests and trials right now, without your knowing how to navigate with your feelings, is going to be really a challenging event, because you're going to have to make momentary decisions in the moment with your intuition, with your heart open, in order to navigate where we are right now. Absolutely. And we've been trained for it our whole lifetimes, really, especially those of you who are priestesses. It's part of the path to be able to learn to navigate with the heart, expressly with the heart. And those of you who are clairvoyant and all that, you know, it has to do with knowing how to navigate really difficult fields, but it requires your heart being open. The third tool in my collection is my laughter pouch. Now, can you all see that? This is a laughter collector. You just laugh. And every time you save your laughs in there, then on a rainy day, you can take your laughter pouch out and recognize that we're all these lively little holograms in the mind of God, and we don't need to take anything seriously whatsoever. No matter how dire it looks, there's a reason to laugh. And so that is the tool of the quest for me, Maximus. I mean, I'm right onto that one maximally. And for the culture that we're in right now, we have our heavy magic fear be gone spray. You know, if you really get stuck, you just get your fear be gone spray out and just spray it around you or anyone else that needs a dose of the fear thing going on right now. So anything come up for you guys in terms of what are the tools of your quest? Anyone? These are mine, but I think it's really good for you to know what tools you have at your disposal. What are the tools of your quest right now? Mine's definitely laughter, to dispel the incredibly insane appearances that are occurring on the screen of life right now. You know, I'm taking out, I don't watch TV, I don't even have a TV, but my AOL screen gives me one bit of news every day before I can click the damn thing off. So I get out my fear be gone spray and say, immediately, you know, alchemically doing that for the collective, because I'm not buying that stuff. And so investigate that for yourselves. What are your tools on the quest right now? So finally, I wanted to look at, and I don't know whether we got this worked out, Leah, but the 13 Moon Mystery School has a beautiful archetypal quiz of the divine feminine archetypes. And she had given that to you to, so for example, let's read the instructions so that'll make it easier for everybody not have to go over that. Review each archetype and check the qualities or characteristics with which you most resonate. Then total up the number of check marks in any particular archetype at the end, okay? So if you really resonate with the archetype, say the Great Mother, of being a nurturer, being highly inclusive, receptive, you check the ones that are really you. And, you know, don't overthink it. You just check the ones that are strongly yourself, and there are 13 faces, so that's what you're going to be going through. So you can do this on your own afterward if you wish. So just have a brief look at these, and let's just do it that way. The first one was the Great Mother archetype. Examples are Shakti, Demeter, Gaia, Shekinah, Hathor, Mary Magdalene. Male archetypes in the same ilk: Cronus, Enki, and Oannes. And then the Goddess of Compassion. Those are some of the qualities of the Goddess of Compassion. And just notice if you're strongly resonating with those. You can imagine in your mind right now, if that resonates strongly, like if you've checked every one of the boxes on that, then that's a very strong resonance. And then moving down to the third face is the Priestess. Selene, Lady of the Lake, Vesta, Hestia, Europa, Blue Medicine Buddha for the male archetype. Reflective, really checking into whether this is if you're more monk-like and more very inward. This is the Priestess face. And then the fourth face is the Creator Destroyer, which it looks like is halved on the top and the bottom, but shocking, disruptive, outrageous. Yeah. And then she's up at the top now. For some reason, I don't know why. It's up further. There, catalyst for change, revolutionary, purifier, understanding the nature of cycles.
Okay.
Okay. And then the fifth face is the Lady of Communion, a very sovereign being, a pioneer, explorer kind of person, very self-sufficient and self-directed, authentic, resourceful, responsible, impeccable. And they also have the color. If you strongly resonate with the color, that's how I basically because I see auric fields, I can see that some of these archetype is particularly strongly leaning towards something or the other because the color of it is so strongly embedded in their fields. So that's the fifth face. And then the sixth face is the Muse. And she is the, like Brigide, Thalia, Urania, Calliope, Sarasvati, and Mercury for the male archetype. Playful, inspired, creative, imaginal, initiatrix, vital, potent, a force to be reckoned with, the Great Awakener. Dionysian, ecstatic priestess, cathartic, strong willpower. Oh, I wouldn't put those two in there myself, but I didn't create this. Someone did create it. And I want to go back and retune it because I would put cathartic and strong willpower in with the Lady of Communion. But anyway, this is just for us to go over tonight. You'll get an idea about it. Seventh face is the Goddess of Love. Aphrodite, Venus, Lakshmi are some of hers. And that's open-hearted, magnetic, really, really open-hearted is the main feature of her. Vulnerable, willing to be totally present in the present moment. Pink is her color. Now, where did the eighth face go? We seem to get past that. Did we go up there?
The primal goddess.
Primal.
There we go. It probably goes up the top like that too.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Primal is instinctual, untamed, initiatrix, loving force for change. Oh, cathartic. That's why. Sorry, I was misreading them. Those are with the primal goddess. And then the initiator is purple, and that's Isis, Ma'at, Minerva, Seshat, Thoth, or Chiron. People who are absolutely dyed-in-the-wool truth tellers are initiator archetypes. They cannot not tell the truth. They really are romantically involved with truth. And that's the 9th face. And then the 10th face is, let's see, who we are: wise woman, Sophia, Athena, Hecate, white buffalo calf woman, Sedna, Asclepios for the male archetype. A holy woman of the tribe is the wise woman, the shapeshifter, the holy woman of the tribe, the shaman, that energetic. And also has a wicked sense of humor, usually. I consider myself to be primarily a wise woman archetype. Just try to keep it light and funny. If it's not fun, I probably won't be doing it. And then is that the 11th face is, how do we get to the myth of descent? That should be, the Queen of Death. That's why, but go to the Weaver is first. That's like Ariadne, Arachne, Kokyan Wukti, Ishel, and this is the Weaver Dreamer, the person who is a storyteller, bard, a myth maker, a seer, a conscious dreamer, a visionary. Magenta is her color. That's why I wore magenta tonight, because we were talking about the energies of being a mythic weaver, dreamer. And then the 12th face is the Queen of Death, and she is, like Inanna, Nekhbet, Persephone. And her qualities are that which releases. I trust I've released. Really uncomfortable with really comfortable with the unknown, and embracing, peaceful, easily lets go, reflective, trusting the divine. And finally, to the 13th face, which is the alchemical face, the goddess of ecstasy. And she is a changing face that is like the center of the wheel in the 13 Moon Oracle. Is the alchemical face is all the faces, all 12 combine into the 13th face. So it isn't a sacrosanct archetype, it is a combination, integrative archetype of all 12 divine feminine archetypes. So now let's come back to our faces and say, do you have any strong impressions of which one you just really strongly resonate with? And you get a hit that was just saying, oh yeah, that's so me. So these are investigations that you can make in really thoroughly by getting the 13 Moon Oracle, which is the work that came through me from Mother about the divine feminine archetypes. And it has in-depth inquiries into all these and ways to access them. And of course, I didn't bring a book here. I just don't think in a linear way ever. Oh, look, I've got one over on my shelf. It looks like this. And it has a moon board in it. Just like that comes out that you can do oracle readings on, and talks about all the different phases of the moon, and shows, and you can do readings with it. And it has a guidebook and a board and throwing tokens and cards so that you can do oracular. You can stay in touch with the divine feminine archetypes by doing an oracle every day or whenever you do meditation with an oracle. It's a way of keeping it current and alive in your life, a method for doing that. So if you're intrigued and want to go deeper with the divine feminine archetypes, it could not be a more clear guide. And I don't say that for me personally. I was just a good listener. But Mother is very clear in it. It's a really beautiful guide for that. If you are interested in divine feminine archetypes, it's a beautiful means of becoming more involved with them, or conversant with them.
Well, perhaps this could be actually part of the completion statement, which is these are the moments when we just reflect on the last 2 hours that we spent together and went over so much content, and really considering either the completion statement or also, what is most resonant with you? What do you want to anchor in? What do you want to make sure that you walk away with? and even weaving it into the greater work that you're doing here as a storyteller. How do you see yourself weaving this in, or how are you wondering about how to weave this into your work as a storyteller? And did you land and have an understanding of, oh, this archetype is so alive in me, I know how this can show up in this kind of storytelling, or how I show up as a storyteller in this archetype, and how does that inform you? So those are a wide range of questions for you. Well, we are, it feels weird not to show you my face, but I'm going to continue on just so that we can do it without crashing the computers. And I just want to thank you, Ariel, for a rich and delicious time of humor and wonderment and exploration and discovery in and out of the mythos and under and around the archetypal energies that surround us and that we embody and that we have opportunity to play with. And I really thank you for helping make what is not necessarily concrete relatable and approachable. And
thank you.
wonderful. So
thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, everything seems so, yeah, it's arcane mostly. Everything I try and do is so difficult to put into words, but thank you. I'm glad you feel that I could do that. Did that. Yay. Thank you for the opportunity. And those of you who want to know anything else about what I'm up to, we have something called the Sanctuary of the Open Heart that has a beautiful newsletter that I do live transmissions every full moon of what the goddess is moving through me and at the time. And a myriad, there's a living library where there are hundreds of free videos that you can study everything from sacred geometry to alchemy to God knows what else. It's a very full library in service to love, and that I've created for her to be in service to love. So if you want to check out the Sanctuary of the Open Heart or the 13moonmysteryschool.com, either one will get you there. Bless you, bless you, bless you, Leah Lamb, for your work here.
Thank you. Thank you.
And bless all of you.
Enjoy your mythic lives.
Enjoy your mythic lives. That's a great way to end. Exactly.